Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on News at Prime. Now, the early morning mudslide at Jagersfontein tailings dam in the Free State struck fast, killing one person, displacing hundreds others and destroying property. It also brought the spotlight back into mining regulation regimes and the relationship between communities and mining companies. Now, in 2018, the South African Human Rights Commission published a report titled Underlying Socio-Economic Challenges of Mining-Affected Communities in South Africa. Joining us now to share the Commission's perspective on the tragedy that unfolded in the Free State is Manager Thabang Kheswa, who is joining us from the South African Human Rights Commission. Very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. A devastating story that has resulted in a loss of life and leaving many displaced. And of course, on top of that, many are not able to access electricity and water. As you went to assess the situation this week, what were some of your findings?
A very good evening to you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Greetings to the viewers at home as well. Indeed, the situation is devastating, unfortunate. We sympathize with the family that has lost their loved one. The South African Human Rights Commission indeed visited the area to conduct an assessment and see firsthand the extent of the damage that this disaster has caused. Indeed, it has interfered with provision of water and actually basic municipal services. You would have picked up that the municipality is also seeking to find ways in which the damaged infrastructure can be repaired. But it's a very terrible situation that we found, that we have observed that our people are faced with, whereby their properties, movable and immovable, have been destroyed and all that.
So as you make these assessments, what will then form the bulk of your investigation, trying to get to the bottom of how this could have happened?
At first, we've had government committing to conduct scientific investigations to establish those causes, but ours is more on the rights of the people that relate to housing, environment, and all those rights as contained in the Bill of Rights. And we want to seek to check also issues of compliance as required. As indicated earlier in our report, when we conducted a hearing, environmental issues were covered in our report. Compliance issues were covered. So we want to check compliance as it relates to that mining activity there, whether there was compliance with relevant legislations, and seek to see what can be done to put the residents or those affected in position they were before this disaster.
Now, in your statement, you detail how you intend on engaging with the mining company. How's that going to work? And perhaps from that outcome, how will you then determine the bulk of your investigation?
Our engagement with the mining company is to establish some of the commitments that they would have already made, and engage them in conjunction with government and the community, and see what is it that is on the table that can be discussed, so that we attend to ensuring that whatever losses that the communities have suffered are somehow attended to. So our discussions will involve the level of commitment, and if the mining company that operates the owner owns up to some of or to this disaster, and see how best do they attend to reinvesting, if it has to, the victims of this disaster.
So perhaps let's go through the list of the human rights violations that are really standing out at the moment. And it's all very well to identify them also, but in terms of providing tangible solutions and tangible intervention, how will that look like?
It will have to, it will start with them providing us with the intervention plan as to what do they intend to do. Remember, ours as Human Rights Commission mostly is to monitor what they commit themselves to doing. So together with the government and the mining company, they have to provide the Human Rights Commission with implementation or intervention plan in terms of what should be done. So that's how we will measure if there is some sort of progress in getting to victims being put in a position they were before. So ours will be monitoring the plans that are in place of intervention and ensuring that they are adhered to with reasonable time frames, which I think is very important, that we ensure that the implementation is done.
So which are the human rights violations that stand out for you as you assess the situation?
Of course, loss of property, communities' rights to property. Health is one of those. There are a number of people who have been, injured. Environmental rights, access to water, sanitation facilities that would have been washed away. There are a whole number. Another right that is important in this regard that would have pre-existed this disaster is that of safety of people there, freedom and security of people. So there are a number of rights that are involved, that including some of the rights like education. There would be intervention with education of children. We are also concerned about those who would be writing exams soon. So we will be finding ways in which, or engaging departments to find if there are ways in which they have measures in place to ensure that their schooling is not really much affected.
So as you investigate and then compile your report and then make those recommendations, now lies the element of accountability. Critics may argue that, that part is often not seen as fast as it should be seen, with the Human Rights Commission intervening and investigating, but the implementation then becomes a problem.
Yeah, but what we want to do in this regard really is to, as I indicated earlier, if we get those intervention plans, and then we get to a point where we make our own findings and recommendations, we should be in a position to ensure that they are followed to the letter. We will invoke our powers in terms of South African Human Rights Commission Act and ensure that whatever we recommend is adhered to.
Okay, very well. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thabang Kheswa, the South African Human Rights Commission of the Free State.